Hey guys, so as a lot of you know, I've been making fabric masks, and I know a ton of people in our community have been too, which has been amazing. I wanted to share two different patterns. One is super beginner and anyone can do it. So if you're like, oh, I've been thinking about this, you can do this too. It's not a very hard one, and you don't need sewing. You don't need a sewing machine. You can do it all by hand, and it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to show you a couple different steps. If you have specific questions, let me know. But the first one, and I made this one before it was a thing and before it was a serious issue. So it's just this shape. There you go. Sewn together here. And then I made loops here. So you can see it's, sorry, there you go. You can see the hand stitching, the green thread, and right there as well. Like I said, I did this one by hand, and this is only one layer. You would want to do 2 layers thick usually. So you would cut out 4 pieces this shape and sew them together. And this one's not going to be as maybe as professional as the other ones, but it will still work. And I was thinking this one would be great for people who, I've seen online a lot of people making masks and selling them and people getting mad about them being sold instead of donated. This is something that anybody can make if you need them for your family, or if you're worried about going to the hospital, delivering a baby, having surgeries. All of these things I've been seeing online, people are worried about going to the hospital and bringing something back to their family. This is a super easy one that you can make for your personal use. And I don't think most people are going to have access to the hospital filters that are needed for the aerosol procedures, is my understanding. I'm not an expert, I don't know. But I talked to a lady at our local, Cadleck, one of the local hospitals today, and she was saying that a lot of times hospitals do have access to those things that you can put inside of the fancier ones. And we're not going to be able to get those right now. We should save them for the hospital staff that knows how to use them and what they're doing and what situations they're most important for. So this, like I said, is one for people who don't know how to use a sewing machine, don't know how to sew. You can get thread at the you can get a little mini thread kit at the dollar store. It'll hold it together for what you need. And like I said, cut out 4 of these and then hand sew them together. So you'd take 2 and 2, sew them around the curved edge, and then make a place to put a string. And this is just t-shirt fabric. I made a video on making t-shirt fabric. You can look up t-shirt yarn, it's the same thing, and you can use that to put around your ears. So it just secures like that. Super easy, you guys. Anybody can do this. If you see people online, they're like desperate for them for their families and don't know how to do it, you guys can make these for yourselves, or you can make them for someone else if you're worried about that person. So like I said, I'm seeing that online a lot. That's a kind of a situation. I did make fancier ones with the similar pattern, where I put the pocket in. I think these ones are a lot more work, so I'm not going to give you guys the patterns for this. Here there are other tutorials. I don't know if these are if a staff knows and you're like, oh, I'd love that kind, I wouldn't like the other, let me know and I'll try to do that for the other ones. But in our city, from talking to people that are working in the hospitals and nurses, they're taking whatever they can get right now and they're making it useful in the way that they can. So like I said, this one I think is more complicated and not as nice as the one I'm about to show you. I made the other one I just showed you actually upside down. So this is the same one. If you decide to make this for yourself, it's the same pattern, 4 layers, and you can, if you sew it, you can turn it. We'll talk more about turning in just a minute. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. Well, actually, I think I got it. It's almost turned completely. So there you go. There's, like I said, this one's super simple. This one's quite a bit more complicated, but I'm going to show you another pattern if you want to make a bunch of them. I've been making about 8 of this type a day, and so I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I bought these sections from Walmart. They're the bigger, I think 3 yards, maybe 2 yards, I'm not positive. This is approximately, there's a ruler. It is 7 inches by, yeah, this is 7 inches by 7 inches. It's actually the size of it, so 14 by 7 is about what I'm using, except mine are a little bit bigger because it's easier to sew and I just flip them inside out and I make really big seams. So this is more if you have a sewing machine and you know a little bit more about what you're doing. You can probably come up with your own ideas from this, and there's other videos that are probably better as well. This one is just for quick so I can get it out because people keep asking me what pattern I'm using. This is the pattern that I'm using. So I cut that strip out and I open it up, cut this part off, so then I have 4 14-inch squares. I have 4 14 by 7-inch squares like this, doing 2 different colors, so same thing. So once I have that 14-inch square, I take it and I'm hemming the short ends, just folding over twice and pinning, and then I'm sewing that. Once I have both of those sewn, I'm rolling them together where I'm overlapping the longer bit over the short bit, because it's going to be the pocket that you are sticking the filters in. And so you can see it's like that, pin it, I sew the edges together, sew this edge together, and then it'll look like this. If you want to, you can cut that part off. Like I said, I'm not doing a great job with cutting because it's all going to be in here, so you can cut it, or we're going to flip them inside out. I guess right side out. We're always sewing right sides together. All right, so then you have a little pocket where the little part overlaps because we did it underneath when it was right sides together. Hope that makes sense. There's other better tutorials too if you're confused. I'm just getting this out for people who keep asking so I can have something to send instead of a random, yeah, this is hopefully going to be more helpful. Once you have it looks like this, you'll start making the pleats. You can see my first pleat. It's going to be hard to do in the air, but you fold it up a little bit, and then you'll stick the pins in right there. That's a really small one. I'd make it bigger, but since I'm doing it holding, maybe, well, there's a huge one for you to see. So I've been trying to do about 3 of them. My first batch I had 3 or so that I only had 2 pleats, and I was able to make it the size a little bit better. So they're about, this one's too big. It's about 3/4 of an inch in both folds, about a 1/2 inch. So the total inch of fabric squished into a 1/2 inch is about what's been working. And so after that, they said there's 3 pleats. This is the front. The back part has the pocket that opens up. I actually would show you a finished one. I took 14 today, and I'll take probably more tomorrow. We'll see if, I might wait a couple days and take a bigger batch. But when it opens up, this does go on the face like this. I'm not going to actually show you. And then whatever you're using to attach it to the face, pin that on, and then sew the strip. Some people are using bias tape here. My sewing machine can't really handle that. It gets knotted and is a little too thick. So this is working well. I'm also going to be using the t-shirt yarn, which I told you about a little bit ago. But then this would go over the ear, and this comes up and opens. If you guys can find twist ties, or I forgot to put them in the others, but try. I have jewelry wire that I might try to make a nose piece that seals at the top of the nose. I'm not sure if I'm worried jewelry wire is going to be too sharp. I do have a Dremel. I'm not sure that it makes sense to Dremel it. I don't have twist ties, and I'm not going to the store just for twist ties yet. But if you guys have twist ties or something that can go up here and shape to the nose, what you can do is stick it in there and just sew a little bit like that. So this is the pattern that I'm using. This is an almost complete one. This isn't a long enough piece of, 7 inches is the length for this. This one's about 5, so that's why it's just a sample. But I hope that's helpful, you guys. Like I said, this one's super easy. You can sew 4 layers together. Wouldn't have a pocket for the filter, but this is something you can make for your family if you're one of the people that is really worried and really scared about this, or you can make it for a friend or someone that you're worried about. Like I said, and you could still ask the hospitals, call people you know, doctors or nurses, if you have them that you know, and ask them what they're taking, what they're interested in, and see where you're at. So I'm not going to edit this video. I'm just going to say goodbye, and I will see you guys around. Take care. Goodbye.